I'm going to play nice for a minute just while we're going through some of the more sedate and fairly picturesque areas of Hemel. How very pretty. Is this where I stopped last time? Yes, it was. Brembo. And now for the walk round verdict. What is this? What is this? What are you? What are you? Yeah? Bit of liner, piece of wood. Someone's been fly tipping. I do like my bike. I wouldn't necessarily pull over and just take photos in a field. But you know, gotta give the Instas something. Oh, it's such a busy road. Game on.
So, time to review the Triumph Street Triple R. I will get on to some of the differences between the S, the R and the RS in just a few moments. However, I want to start with the specifications specifically for the bike that I rode.
Today's toy, Triumph Street Triple R. Why didn't I go for the RS? Well, it wasn't available. But also, this is actually slightly better on the street. I know that because the engine is tuned ever so slightly differently, so that it has a wider span between the torque and the horsepower. So this actually makes peak torque around 9,400 and it makes peak horsepower around 12,000 revs. When I say peak, we are dealing with 116 brake horsepower, 118 PS, and we are dealing with 56 foot-pounds, pounds-foot of torque, just over.
Let's start with the Triumph Street Triple's moneymaker, the engine. Of course, that is the star of the show. It is the 765cc version rather than the 675 original. As I say, the engine really is the star of the show. It is a cracker. If you want a 3-cylinder engine, and why wouldn't you want a 3-cylinder engine? There are reasons, fair enough. Please don't list them below, I don't care. But if you want a 3-cylinder, you really have a few options. You've got the big old speed triple from Triumph. You've got the street triple for your lighter sort of middle ground class or version of the triple engine. And then you've got an option obviously from Yamaha with the MT-09 and XSR 900, but essentially the same engine there from Yamaha.
So now, what, third gear, 60 miles an hour, which is the legal limit on this road. We're doing 6,000 revs. Just to add a skosh of context, it makes peak torque at 9,400 revs and peak horsepower at 12,000. So actually, to get your peak, you want to be in second. Which feels brutal, feels rude to the bike to be doing that.
In case you're wondering, on the older Street Triple, one of the big complaints was that the brakes were a little bit budget, but then they were working to a cost. On the R, you got slightly better brakes, but it still lacked a bit of feel on the back. They have improved things. It's not miraculous. It still lacks a little bit of feel on the rear, but it certainly is better than the old bike. And there is an awful lot of feel with the front. On the R version, you get 310mm discs, and you also get Brembo 4-piston radial mounted braided hoses with the M4s. For my money, you can't get much better, if better, than a Brembo, other than a better Brembo, which I will get onto.
This thing stops like it should, like it always should have done. And that was a big complaint with the original Street Triple with mine. The one weakness I would choose on it, and it is a weakness, the brakes aren't quite as good as I would want. Brand new bike, brand new revisal, better screen, better tech. The old bike was a fantastic machine, but it didn't have all that much as far as trickery goes. All the fancy electronics and all the gadgets that other bikes have or are more famed for. But what made it amazing was that the fundamentals were just that good.
It has a colour TFT display, quite nice. In fact, you have 3 different options as far as the look of that display. And then you get rider modes. You get road, rain and sport, and a user one as well. So they'll call it 4. Obviously it didn't rain, so I tried it in road and sport. There is a difference between the two. It just gets a little bit peppier when you stick it in sport.
I'm not going to fanny around with the traction control, I'm afraid, or the ABS, because I simply do not have time. But this will give me a decent comparison between, obviously, sport. Won't be going anywhere without these, will I? couldn't forget my gold tops, they're important. Now bear in mind, obviously my tyre has just gone on a little bit of gravel, so I'll take this a little bit easier just to kick off. I'll be honest, it was pretty sporty before, but we'll see if it makes a difference. Time to get illegal. Yeah, just a little bit keener, just a little bit, just a smidge.
For suspension, of course, you get Showa big piston forks on the front with separate function, and you get adjustability for preload, compression, rebound, damping. On the rear, of course, it is still a Showa, and you also get compression, rebound, and preload.
Suspension feels good, it feels poised. A little bit less poised, I would say, than the KTM though, sadly. Not to dwell too much on the comparison.
So now let's explain just a few differences between the models that you can choose, the S, the R and the RS. The S is the cheapest, makes sense. That is £8,000 roughly. It will change, I'm sure, in the future, but for the moment, £8,000. The R is £9,200 and the RS is £10,200. So starting with the engine, of course, it has the same capacity across the range, but they've been tweaked slightly differently to give you different power depending on the engine or the bike that you go for. The S has a claimed 113 PS, the R has 118, and the RS has 123. So obviously the RS is the most powerful, but they make them at different points in the rev range. The takeaway is that the S makes peak horsepower the lowest down, and then the RS, and then the R. However, when we get onto peak torque for these bikes, the S still makes the least, it's 53 foot-pounds of torque. The R and the RS make the same amount of torque, but again, they make them at different points. The S is at 9,100 revs. The R is at 9,400 revs. And the RS is at 11,000 revs. The S makes peak torque first, then the R, then the RS. Meaning that in theory, to chase torque at least, maybe not so much the horsepower, you don't have to do as much on the R as the RS. You get that initial hit just a little bit quicker.
So the first time you get on a triple, street triple in particular, you may well be forgiven for thinking, because it is so powerful and grunty down towards sort of 4,000, 5,000, that you don't need to hang on quite so much. And you would be wrong, because you will get a lot more enjoyment if you hang on up to 9,000 revs, up to 12,000 revs. And I've mentioned this obviously previously on this test. But the difference is huge. Proven when I shoot off here. And that wasn't even firmly in it. You'll have to be doing very criminal speeds to get the most out of that. You couldn't need anything more than this on the road.
As far as weight goes, the S is the heaviest of the three by about 2 kilograms. I know, big difference. It's 168 kilograms dry, the other two are 166. Take that information in and then just throw it straight back out. Because Triumph do like to lie about their weight. Why are you so embarrassed about it, Triumph? What's going on? Clearly they have different brakes as well. The S obviously has the least powerful of the bunch, and the RS has the best. So you've got Nissans on the S. They'll be perfectly fine, but they won't be quite as good as the Brembo M4s on the R version, or the Brembo M50s on the RS. Rear brake, hardly anything in it, but there is switchable traction control on the R and the RS. Suspension again is better on the R and the RS. They're all three of them Showa on the front, but it is not adjustable on the S. Again, rear suspension, Showa on the S model, Showa on the R model, and the RS, well, the RS gets an Öhlins. Win. Now they all have the same wheelbase, however, the seat height is slightly different. On the S model, it is slightly smaller. It's 810 millimeters as opposed to 825 on the other two. You also get a relaxed headstock on the S model. So you get 100 millimeters of trail on the R and the RS, you get 104 millimeters of trail on the S model. Even just 4 millimeters will make quite a bit of difference in terms of the handling and therefore stability of a bike. The S is more of an entry model, and obviously because of that, they've made it slightly more comfortable and slightly more stable, so you're not going to scare yourself too much, but it will be, obviously, slightly less fast. And then the last thing really is in terms of rider modes. So you get 2 on the S model. You get road and rain. On the R, you get 4. You get road, you get sport, you get rain, and you get a user specified or user tweaked version. And on the RS, you get 5.
And it's about time I say goodbye.
So for the differences out of the 3 versions then, I can sum up for you like this. If you're looking to buy a street triple and it is your first middleweight naked bike or middleweight sports bike, maybe go for the S version. It's a bit more comfortable, it's a bit more entry level, and it is also just a little bit more stable, just a little bit less quick than the other 2 options that you can get. The R version is your happy middle ground. If you want a high performer, something that is really going to kill it on the streets and the twisty lanes, then go for the R version. If at any stage you're going to take the bike on a track, or if you are more track focused, the RS has your vote. Or if you just want the best of everything and you want to be flash and turn up and have everyone gawk at your bike and be impressed, then maybe go for the RS as well.
Busy enough, isn't it? That's right, mate, you got a tractor coming your way. Enjoy that. That'll be fun for the whole family. Hey, get stuck behind that. Sweet baby Jesus.
So do I think that the Triumph Street Triple has retained its crown as top dog in the middleweight street naked class? Yeah, yes I do. It's still a fantastic bike. The reason the original was so good is because of the engine. It is such an enjoyable thing to ride. The fundamentals were really good, and it retained that crown for longer than it really should, because they didn't massively upgrade it through the years. Now, with all of the mod cons that they've slapped on this thing to bring it up to speed, all the other components are improved as well, but it retains the character and the fundamentals of the original.
There are few things on the road that could beat this down some twisty lanes. There are few things I would rather be sat on for some A roads. One more time, let's hear it roar.
There is another version which I should probably mention as well. It is the S model, but the A2 version, aimed at people under the age of 25, of course, who are limited with their license in the UK. For those people, they can get a 660cc version of the Street Triple. Would I do it? No. If I was limited on my license and I had to get something that falls within a certain power output, I would not go for a big old heavy Triumph Street Triple. If you want something that is a high performer for the A2 class, and I won't get too bogged down in this, but for absolute balls out speed, I'd probably go for the KTM 390. If you want a nice middle ground bike that you could grow with, I'd probably go with any of the CB500 range from Honda. Anyway, different video.
And now for the walk round verdict. Is it pretty? Yes. How pretty? Is it light? There's nothing to grab at the back there. No, I'm just caressing its arse. Oh.
As always, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share this wherever you want to. That will help me out a great deal. And hopefully, I'll see you again in the next video. Effectively, listing the dry weight of a bike is like saying that, well, I'm 10 stone, as long as you just take out all my blood and the contents of my stomach. I'm not. I'm a fat 12 stone. And I'm okay with it. You should be too.